The Yellow Wallpaper was written in 1892 by Charlotte Perkins Gilman. Today I'm going to be talking about her usage of symbolism and how she uses it to convey the thoughts, feelings, and her emotions throughout the short story. She repeatedly brings attention to the wallpaper, of course, the windows, the nursery, and the woman behind the wall. I'm going to be starting with the wallpaper first. She quotes, "It is dull enough to confuse the eye in following, pronounced enough to constantly irritate and provoke study, and when you follow the lame, uncertain curves for a little distance, they suddenly commit suicide." This, to me, symbolizes how Jane feels about being confined into her own home. Next is the window. She quotes, "For the windows are bared," and the window to me represents the amount of freedom that she has given. Next is the nursery. She quotes, "It is a big, airy room. It was a nursery first, and then the playroom, and a gymnasium, I should judge. For the windows are bared for little children, and then there are rings and things in the walls." The nursery to me is a reminder of things Jane doesn't want to be part of, and what she is feeling forced into like a cage. Next is the woman. She quotes, "The faint figure behind seemed to shake the pattern, just as if she wanted to get out." And to me, the woman behind the walls is kind of symbolizing Jane herself being trapped. The two objects that stood out to me most would be the yellow wallpaper and the nursery. I said the nursery represented the narrator Jane, who is a wife and a mother. She's locked up in the nursery with the yellow wallpaper surrounding her. The nursery symbolizes how she is stripped of her own rights and trapped, and it shows as an example of her imprisonment. Next is the wallpaper. The yellow wallpaper represents the structure of family and tradition, in which the narrator finds herself trapped. Gilman uses this ugly and nightmarish wallpaper to symbolize her domestic life. So in conclusion, the most important object would obviously be the yellow wallpaper, considering it's the title. The narrator begins to have an obsession with the wallpaper and starts to view it as her own existence. It's most importantly a symbol of the character's worsening mental health. The narrator's husband, John, refuses to change it, showing how little he cares for her concerns. It's also an example of how women were treated back in the day. The short story is a puzzle in the ways of there being a challenge needed to be overcome, interpreting the metaphors between freedom versus confinement, and even some malicious force keeping her from being peaceful and resting soundly. The narrator is confined in a room, which leads to her isolation and loss of freedom.